the failure to ever come to a meeting of minds and show an elevated um, intellectual capacity to actually, live in any sort of modicum of truth is what I find bewildering. The right, the irony in calling the only one who actually was, shall we say, more noble in his practices versus those who were threatened by, I suppose you could say, competition, but really there was no competition at all. Um, for folks that want to basically do this thing, whereas we're okay with practicing racism so long as the racism is happening to women, so long as women are being shortchanged because of the, shall we say, women as well as the males that don't really want to play by the rules because I mean they want to be able to enforce rules. They want to be able to be bowed down to without having any characterization to be bowed down to. So this issue, whereas we get to accuse others of the crimes that we do because we can put paper to pen and basically try to get people to fork over land, fork over women, fork over children, fork over slaves, and just give, be ultimate givers, and then being the recipients of nothing but disrespect, true racism, and false ideals and false religions. You see, I cannot resonate very well with this ideology that says, well, you know what, Germans, you're guilty of having respect for women. You're guilty of believing in the confines of marriage. You're guilty of raising children. You're guilty of selecting who your spouse is and not being loyal to a color wheel. And the issue here is basically there are people that basically want to be like, well, I'm allowed to be with this alleged man who doesn't protect me, doesn't respect me, and, he doesn't really look like who I'm adjacent to. And I want other men to basically be the man for me, but I just basically, you want to have a walking dildo, who gets to procreate and gets to demoralize the children and bring a culture and rituals and religion that is absolutely stunningly unnecessary. All the while having the men and women and children building you houses, being your servants, being your whipping post, and basically saying, well, I'm not as wonderful as you. And I should pay you because of, I should pay you and do these things for you because whoever you're related to, whatever your last name is, don't really know you like that. But nonetheless, I'm going to bow down to you because of whatever. Versus those who really, what did they want? What do people want with their religious ideals? They want us to recognize a God that is not worthy of recognition. And if there were to be a God, why is it so damn challenging to honor what the women say? These males, right along with the females that are birthing these demons, want us to delude ourselves and basically go, well, you're not as good as the one that you accuse. of being racist and evil and psychotic. But we're supposed to bypass and totally ignore that the very thing of which you're accusing these men who honestly have proven and have provided ample evidence of their excellency, you want us to basically ignore the fact that you're doing exactly what you're accusing other people of doing. And then hop on board with a lesser culture that is inferior, with a lesser religious ideal and practice and custom. Whereas we're giving homage to idiots who have no connection with any God. The only God that they could ever possibly serve is a demon. Because drowning children in water and calling that a baptism is the best cultural practice that anyone should uphold. Because that makes so much fucking sense. That is so fucking just refreshing for us. That's what we need. We need to wear weird ass hats on our head, make weird looking people. Not these attractive ones. Not these ones with good immune systems. We need sickly children that are into weird shit. That basically goes, we're a chosen people. We're chosen people, so therefore, since we're a chosen people, we're entitled to territory, we're entitled to revenue, and we're entitled to fuck over who we feel like. And then be guilty of the very thing of which we accuse others of being and doing. So stick to your own. And we're superior. Not based upon our merit, not based upon our character, like these ones who might have some adjacency to us, but simply because of how we look. Versus these ones, all of their countless inventions and creations, including this of which I'm recording on right now. These are masterminds. These are people with incredible intellect. I would say they're more so chosen than those who use religious conundrums and clusterfucks of ideologies that are honestly pathetically based. Their God is trash. Their God basically is racist and wants people to bow down to this one and pay tributes to this one. All the while, they don't look anything like their God. They don't look like their God. Their God is a rapist. And to do rape while not looking like your God is genocide. You do know that, right? You're bowing down to someone that does not look like you and has not proven a damn thing. This God of which that can give me physical traits of which the world can deem and has deemed are not that welcomed. They're not appreciated. It's not seen as a sign or a statement of beauty. It's not a standard of beauty. I agree. So rather than being sensible and coming on the basis of logic, we must totally ignore that and then hold accountable the masterminds, the ones that we want as slaves, simply because what? What's the reason? Because you can insert a fictitious religion? Anyone, and I mean anyone, that is leading this ideal of conformity on the basis of religion has already lost. Resorting to violence on behalf of religion versus resorting to violence because of violence. I'm on the side of resorting to violence because of violence. You see, when our father was and is white, we were in marriage. We had children that were raised properly, that were educated, informed. They were treated well, they were safe. Those husbands of ours that we were consensually with, they provided to the family everything that a family would require and then some. Versus these other ones who need others to be slaves for them. They need women to basically disregard her own self-interest. I mean, according to sex, we're not entitled to fuck at all. Forget about coming. I mean, my God, look at the fucking face. How could you come? But for some strange reason, I guess, there's people who like these ones who hold such religious values, if we can call them that, as well as they hold this racist value that allows people to convert and look with these physical traits, all the while somehow bypassing the need to be of service to those who overpower them, and then wanting to be able to continue to rape the servants that are females. So the slaves that are females. Well, see, there's an issue with that. Because the men prior to, who, yes, indeed, they're white, those were husbands, and we were their wives, versus now we're slaves, and we get raped and charged as being prostitutes, when the reality is we're being sexually assaulted, while those who were supposed to be in service to the men, whether it be the right ones or the wrong ones at this time, they were supposed to be in service. Not only because they were overpowered, but because when we say that's not what we want, what then is the point of their existence? If we don't want to fuck them because we're not turned on, and they don't do anything but abuse us and the children, and they can't protect us from those who overpower us, but yet they're somehow the spokesperson of other folks' fake ass, wretched ass religious ideals, but then they're somehow able to get rich, make all sorts of, I guess, what you call to be content that basically is demoralizing women and children. Demoralizing women and children of which they've created on behalf of violation after violation. They were not truly granted accessibility, not with permission, not with consent, access to our bodies. You can't be a slave and a mother at the same time. But this bending of, sensible rules has been inserted as if it's acceptable, as if it's necessary. And the way of justifying this rape of alleged slaves that are able to create all of humankind in the different colors and variations and human spectrums that they can come in. The audacity of the offspring of said women is they would have nerve enough to continue to rape, abuse, enslave, and want her to sacrifice her womanhood, her femininity for them to enjoy the luxurious benefits and privileges of what a fuck they have never earned, they don't deserve, they're not adequate, they're not worthy of, and they've shown how treacherous and ignorant and arrogant and conceited they truly are, while they continue to abuse children and prey on women. And you call that noble? You call this qualified to happen? And rather than consequencing, punishing, and holding accountable those who have seriously inserted the most wretched of ideals, the most pathetic of all ideals, they've introduced rules and blind spots to get people to hop on board with this thinking of, well, you followed other gods, or you shouldn't have wore that. You shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't have been existing and breathing. And then we're able to somehow procure being freed from slavery, all the while enslaving everybody's fucking daughter, no matter what race she is. And then getting all sorts of misconduct inserted into the practices of culture. So this appropriation of, let's bypass marriage and just get to the pussy, all the while giving daughters and women and even the boys and the men a hard fucking time, and being a burden and a liability to them, and keeping them around on the basis of their fucking skin color or their religious practices. And you don't see the problem with that? It's okay for women who create all of humankind to be abused endlessly. The creativity that comes forth out of these evident and obvious betrayals, disrespect, and honestly just redundant deplorability. No standard whatsoever. Just pathetic ass phallus having, good for nothing, wanna be somehow protected on the basis of their skin color, but never ever the reason why we're absolved of slavery, but wanting to be freed from fucking having to be of service, as if they're not already using their energy to be fucking cowards, to play around and entertain the world while they're athletes and shit like that. They know how to use their energy to provide absolutely nothing to the well-being and the betterment of humankind. You mean to tell me that these fuckers that are able to alter people's physical appearances, not for the better, for the worst, apparently, because of how people are able to do these caste systems of color of woman, which is a creator, which is the one who populates the earth. Somehow, in people's minds, the one who can populate the earth and is the reason why we're here and born and breathing, she can be reduced while we keep this motherfucker and the different variations of them so that they can continue to abuse, to exploit, to disregard, to trample over. And what has she ever done to deserve such a thing? Nothing. Hence why they have to introduce fictitious excuses as to why it's pardonable, as to why it's worthy of continuing, as to why it is required, as if there's some sort of benefit to struggling, as if this never-ending cycle is entitled to exist in the first place. Well, I'll have you know, hell no, there's no reason for it. I want them gone. And as someone who can birth human beings, I have a fucking right to my words being adhered to. It's never too late to abort a child that never should have been born. It's never too late to unrape us of idiots who have no business existing because they don't honor thy mother. They hardly honor their father because these fathers of which aren't even their fathers, they're rapists. Now the ones who are blamed, the ones who are footed with the bill, they were never my problem. It's these ones over here who want to be paid on the basis of their fictitious and most disgusting of religious customs that are being paid, not for being men, not for being good rulers, not for being the sexy motherfucker that I want to suck his dick. No. Because of his retarded ass religion, because of his wimpy ass loser fucking cowardly ways, because of his sense of entitlement to pussy. When the fuck, bitch, you don't turn nobody on. If it weren't for this money, your ass would not be able to access any fucking women. Realistically. You're not the man to be having money. As a matter of fact, I struggle using that word man. If you had been a man, these children wouldn't be being abused. But because you wanted to be better than and uplifted and put on a pedestal above men that we actually want. It's been on the basis of this sense of entitlement with your retarded ass genetics that nobody fucking wants or needs, especially with that thinking of which you have. That's why they have to insert these legal circus buffoonery practices, whereas they can override nature using legalistic bullshit algorithms of stupidity, not showing and not proving, not giving us examples of their manhood, proving how fucking wicked, how much of a loser, and how much of a wimp your bitch asses are. Because you can't win on the basis of your merit. You can't win on the basis of your brawn. Hell, you can barely fucking win on your intellectual capacity. You have to fuck with people psychologically with your stupid ass God, of which is no God at all. Because he's still here, isn't he? This God of which you've bowed down to, which is no God at all. That's a fraud. He's not supposed to be here. If he can't be of service, he knows how to be of service to distract the whole planet with his great athletic skill set. But as far as him doing any manual labor, being an electrician, being a whatever, you name it, engineer, being of service with his strength, with his physical strength, he can toy around with a ball, but he can't fucking do what is required to be done to be of service to anyone. But he certainly knows how to rape. He certainly knows how to abuse. And the whole world turning blind eyes to that, acting as if any of this is necessary. So then here you go to insert this. You can't discriminate. You're being anti-Semitic. You're being racist. You're being prejudiced. You're being this. You're being that. And what about equality? What about what the fuck my pussy wants? How about that? What about I want you held accountable for the fucking goddamn plethora of rape and child abuse and genocide that you're committing in these lands? When we say you're required to have man as your character, you actually have to be a fucking man in your blood. And I promise you, men are not abusing children. Men are not subjecting women to being footstools. Men are not demoralizing and verbally degrading women and making profit off of it. Big pimpin'. These types need to go. They're required to go. I'm not loyal to people on the basis of their raped appearance into my physical appearance. You think that I give a fuck about you being a person of color? I don't. That's not where my loyalty resides. And then you have my people paying. But again, most all of these things of which we engage with, all of these convenient, essential products, creations, come from brilliant minds. And they have a common thread of genetics that go back to Germany. But your bitch asses in this planet cannot respect men, much less his women. I'm not going to be using my energy, words, and anger on the basis of mediocrity, on the basis of physical traits, and then putting on a pedestal someone above others simply because of how they look. And that's for the female side, how you look, but then you're a whole demon. And then for the male side, how you look and what you believe, but nothing of what you do. What you believe, your culture, trash. Because it makes exceptions for abusing children and abusing women, but takes you off of the hook and relieves you of any responsibility of holding accountable criminals. But wanting sympathy and wanting all sorts of protections in place for you to be a whole bitch that women really don't want. We don't want you. You don't even know how to fuck us. But you feel entitled to fucking us when you don't even know how. You don't know how. You don't know how. So that money, honestly, is useless at that point. So not only do you not know how to fuck us, you don't know how to create human beings, especially for the males. You don't know how to make sons that know how to protect women. That know how to protect women. So then the ones who are worthy of making sons with, we're not entitled to make sons with them because you bitch ass motherfuckers don't want to be of service, even though being of service is far better under the rulership of the one who can fuck us and does respect women. So you don't want to be of service for a purpose. You want to be of service while being worshipped as if you are somebody to fucking worship. Oh, so you're a great athlete. You're a great athlete. So I'm supposed to go, woo! So the fuck what? You've proven that you were capable of overpowering those who were in power and allegedly abusing us. But why, if they were abusing us, if the white ones were abusing us, why are we still showing up as black? Because you've been raping us, which is a violation. You didn't overpower him. No, instead you wanted to try and make these little fake ass peace treaties to absolve yourself of ever having to be a man of service to better men. And they are better. And they don't have to lead with psychological manipulation through the use or misusage of religious ideals or last names. I mean, look, folks want to basically be able to go, I'm white, so bow down to me. But I have religious ideals that are stupid. That are fucking stupid. Drowning children. And calling that a baptism. And then I'm just going to get straight to the point. Not even fucking attractive. You weren't far more attractive than these ones, of which are somehow entitled to foot the bill. Oh, hell no. They're sexy. You, on the fucking other hand, what the fuck is that? Who the fuck wants those physical traits? The only thing that you do have going for you, I guess, is whiteness. And then as for you, colored ones. Yes. Well, the females are trash as they try to go off into the sunset, marrying white men. Doing a switcheroo. So not using any of their alleged matriarchal power. Said, we used to rule the world and those were our temples that they knocked down, but I don't hear you. Politically speaking up for these children that are left to fend for themselves amongst these ones who you particularly couldn't stay with now, could you? You wanted to just jump ship. You wanted to jump ship, but you can't mention to the world like, oh, these motherfuckers need to go. No, that's not what I hear. I hear something completely different that basically goes, my son has to be targeted by the police. And I'm in fear of my son being shot down by law enforcement. Maybe he should be shot down by law enforcement if it's perfectly okay for him to be abusing women and children, don't you think? I'm not in fear of law enforcement targeting me or trying to shoot me down. I actually like the police, even though I know a lot of them are very helpful for such toxic, abusive assholes. But I wonder why that is. Could it be possibly because those who are in law enforcement that represent a demographic that doesn't want to be held accountable for a damn thing, but can talk about big pimping and honestly provide a cultural foundation of nothingness and degradation? I'm supposed to ignore that? You don't respect women. You don't protect women. You're making many children. You're claiming that you're experiencing racism. You're claiming that you're experiencing a system of white supremacy. You're saying that somehow you're entitled to make a bunch of children, all the while simultaneously going through all this allegedly oppressive shit, but you can't overcome the oppressive shit, but you're still going to make many children of which shouldn't be being made because we were not turned on in the least. We didn't seek you out, and we are not married to you. How is it that we could go from once upon a time being married, our husbands were white, and we had everything that we needed and then some, but now we're being forcefully taken from our homes on the misusage of a judicial process that's not regulated by federal or state laws? We're being raped by foreigners, and then we're being introduced to a religious custom that deviates all the responsibility onto us, or delegates all the accountability and guilt onto us, claiming that we chose other gods. No, we were forced to reside with fucking criminals who, anytime that accountability in the light of it is shed upon them, shown upon them, showing them who they are, discrimination, oppressive, and this and that, and all these psychological tricks that basically go, don't hold me accountable for the evil that I'm doing. Oh, I'm holding you accountable. And this is a great time for men to showcase if they actually are fucking men. I, as a woman, am not going to be doing what men are better at doing, but it's also wrong of me, just like it's wrong of these females. It's wrong when you don't use your voice to speak up for those who deserve to be spoken up for. And that goes for anyone. You speak up for those who are actually right. You have a right to do that. You speak up for those who deserve to be spoken up for. And you rebuke that which deserves to be rebuked. That is what we have this skill for. And just because these religious trash customs that have basically brainwashed people to basically go, don't talk, doesn't mean that you should cave into it. Okay? You're entitled to say whatever you need to say. But if you're going to say anything, use the power of truth. It's far more excellent than that fucking piece of shit that these motherfuckers have been using for only God knows how long. There's no such thing as it being okay for an actual woman who is worth her presence in her merit, in her nature, in her essence. She shouldn't be going through that of which a criminal deserves to go through. And that's what I see a lot of females as, is criminals. Not all, but many. Especially these fucking punk ass ones that have used their voices to attempt to throw their own daughters and other females under the bus for their worthless ass sons and these worthless ass males that have been terrorizing and not lifting a goddamn finger to protect women, girls, and hell, even men. The men shouldn't be going through this shit either. Boys shouldn't be having to go through this shit either. So why are they? Is there any particular reason why anybody should be going through this? If a criminal is amongst us, which there is plenty of them, get rid of them. Why should a taxpayer be paying to house idiots who don't respect them? Get rid of them. There's no rhyme or reason. They're murdering children and women, other men who are of value, and people want to somehow put this legal, fucking retarded, fake ass shit ahead of what is right. Get rid of them. That's the only answer. You can't reform evil.